TNT. Now the Mariners have taken the field this afternoon. This is the first of 4. We begin on a Labor Day afternoon. Elvis Andrus getting ready, and that's how Elvis gets ready. So the dance steps abounding here. Well, Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Rangers batting order.
Well, Nomar Mazara will be making his 9th straight start in the leadoff spot. Ian Desmond, coming off a nice homestand, will bat second. Carlos Beltran, .448 in his last 29 at-bats, will be the DH. Adrian Beltre's knocked in 26 in his last 26 games. That's why he's hitting cleanup. Rougned Odor's knocked in 14 runs and hit 5 home runs in his last 5 games. Jonathan Lucroy, a big homestand, as did almost every Ranger hitter, will bat 6th. Mitch Moreland is at first base. Carlos Gomez is in left field. Batting 9th, the shortstop, Elvis Andrus.
And that lineup for Jeff Bannister this afternoon, facing the king, Felix Hernandez. No secret what he's going to feature, that fastball, a power changeup, and a hard breaking ball. Rangers were successful last time because Felix Hernandez did not have his good command. They were able to get to him early and take advantage of that. They'll look to do the same kind of thing here this afternoon. Felix Hernandez making his 50th career start against the Rangers, the most by any opposing pitcher. And Felix Hernandez also has been touched up for 23 losses at the hands of the Rangers. That's the most that he has suffered at the hands of any one team. So it should be an interesting matchup this afternoon. We are ready to get underway as Nomar Mazara steps in. And the first pitch on this Labor Day Monday is in for strike 1. All the numbers for Nomar: a .274 average, 16 home runs, and 54 RBI. And he has become a fixture at the top of the Ranger order against right-handers. As Tom told you, the 9th consecutive start for Nomar Mazara in that leadoff spot. Rangers have been successful when he has been up there, going 7-1 in the previous 8 starts. Leads All-American League rookies with those 123 base hits. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, the Rangers against Hernandez last time out in Arlington got to him for 6 runs, all of them earned in just 4 innings of work. 4 base hits, but 4 walks, very uncharacteristic for Felix Hernandez. The Rangers took advantage of that, and he misses just inside to even the count.
Yeah, didn't quite come back to get the corner. Yeah, Hernandez has pitched twice against the Rangers this year. He spent some time on the DL. That's why he's only pitched twice. He's walked 9 guys in 10 innings in his 2 starts against the Rangers this year.
Now the 2-2. Got him swinging. There's that hard breaking ball, and Felix Hernandez gets his first strikeout. Ian Desmond will be next. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're right-handed or left-handed. This is a tough pitch to handle.
And the 2 pitches to hit were the first 2 fastballs that he took for strikes to go behind no balls and 2 strikes. Then you've got a battle because Hernandez has a number of different ways that he can strike you out. Curveball is one way. Changeup is another way.
Desmond, first ball swinging, and lifts it in the air to right field where Gutierrez is stationed. That is out number 2. Well, Ian Desmond must have heard your thinking, Tom, and went after that first pitch.
Yeah.
Rest of the Mariner defense behind Felix Hernandez this afternoon. You saw Gutierrez in right. Leonis Martin in center. Guillermo Heredia is in left field. On the infield, Daeho Lee at first, Robinson Cano, and Ketel Marte up the middle with Kyle Seager at third. And Jesus Sucre getting the start behind the plate for Felix Hernandez. Carlos Beltran, an excuse me foul ball on the check swing. 0-1. Beltran, as a Ranger, hitting .270. Overall, great numbers for the 39-year-old veteran. .296, 26 home runs, 81 RBI. The combination between the Yankees and the Rangers this year. 9-time All-Star. You got the nod for his first time in the American League this year. That ball's ripped to right center field. Going back is Gutierrez, and he makes the catch. Reaching up over his cap to haul it in. Hard hit ball by Beltran, but the Rangers gone in order. We played a half an inning in Seattle. Rangers nothing. Mariners coming up. Now Tom's going to tell you about the Mariners starting lineup.
They'll start off with the left fielder, Guillermo Heredia. Franklin Gutierrez made that nice catch to end the top of the first. Will play right field and bat second. Robinson Cano bats third, followed by the DH, Nelson Cruz. Kyle Seager bats fifth, the third baseman. He's hit 9 home runs this year against left-handed pitchers. Dae-Ho Lee is sixth. Leonis Martin, former Rangers in center. Jesus Sucre gets the start behind the plate. Batting ninth is the shortstop, Ketel Marte.
And that lineup cobbled together by Scott Service, the first-year manager of the Seattle Mariners. The 32-year-old left-hander Cole Hamels goes to work and fires strike one to Heredia. Cole Hamels making his 23rd start of the year. Roughed up last time out against the Mariners. Took a no decision, so he still has a 5-game winning streak active against Seattle. Since the All-Star break, Cole Hamels been among the best in 9 starts of the second half. He's gone 5-2 with a .236 ERA and 62 strikeouts in 61 innings. Already a .222 hitters. Hamels comes back to him and misses just a little bit low. It's 2-1. Already a .222 average with a home run and 6 driven in. Seattle in the ever observant quest for a good leadoff hitter. They just haven't had anybody at the top of the order this year that consistently has been able to get on base and provide the kind of spark that Scott Service is looking for the offense. Already ahead of the count, 3-1. Now 3-2. Already eyeballing 6 pitches after this next one is offered by Cole Hamels. Hamels at 14-4, a .291 overall ERA. Still 3-2. Heredia trying to get aboard to start off the Mariner first. Franklin Gutierrez, the right fielder, is next. Rangers this year against Seattle have gone 11-4. They are 4-2 in the 6 games played here at Safeco Field. Another 3-2. Sliced down deep down the right field line, but that's going to slice back into the crowd. Well, it's turned into a rather long first at bat against Hamels. Cole has struck out a third of the batters leading off the first inning since the All-Star break. 21 out of 63. Heredia giving Hamels a pretty good tussle here to start things off. Well, the leaderboard this year, Hamels third with that .291 ERA in the American League. He is 6th in wins, tied for 6th. He's 7th in strikeouts at 171. Cole putting together an all-around outstanding year at age 32. Outside, couldn't get Heredia to offer, and there's a leadoff walk.
Well, that's about exactly what the doctor ordered if you're the Mariners. A long at bat and a base runner.
Let's take a look at the Ranger defense this afternoon, delivered to you by the New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. And a very familiar lineup for if you're a Ranger fan. Gomez, Desmond, and Mazzara left, center, and right. Moreland, Odor, Andrews, and Beltre around the infield. Jonathan Lucroy's catching. And Cole Hamels is on the mound. Rangers come in with that 9.5 game advantage over the second place Astros. Rangers at 82-55, the second best record in all of baseball. As the fastball comes in just above belt high to Gutierrez for strike one. Franklin Gutierrez getting almost all of his game time this year against left-handers. .248 average overall, 13 home runs. And he has hit pretty well against Cole Hamels, 4 for 15. That's a .267 average. Popped up foul. That will reach the seats. And the count very quickly goes to 0-2. Well, Seattle not a big base running team this season so far. 42 stolen bases in 69 attempts. The top base stealer, Leonis Martin. Ketel Marte with 10 and Martin with 17. Heredia, not a whole lot of game experience. This is just his 24th game. He has not been successful on a stolen base yet. Nice job by Jonathan Lucroy to keep that ball near home plate and keep Heredia at first. 1-2.
That wasn't an easy one to block. He had to move to his left quite a bit to block that ball. And the start that Cole had against Seattle in his last start is 4 1/3. Gave up 6 runs, 7 hits, and walked 4 in that game. Just didn't have the command of his pitches. Trying to regain it right here. There's a good start with it.
Pretty good fastball at 93. Got it up a little bit, and Gutierrez is the strikeout victim for Hamels. 1 gone. Yep, just up about belt high, and Gutierrez had seen a breaking ball, so he was aware of the breaking ball changeup combo and just couldn't pull the trigger quickly enough. So 1 out, and Robinson Cano will step in. Cano has not had a whole lot of luck against Hamels. Robinson Cano, 6 for 29. That's a 207 average, but overall this year having an outstanding season. Hitting .304 with 31 home runs, 84 RBI, and he takes strike 1. But Cano very well aware that Hamels is tough and has been extremely tough this year against left-handers, despite the 8-game hitting streak for Cano. He is one of the southpaw hitters that Hamels has only allowed a 199 average to this year. That's the 8th lowest figure in the American League. Pulled the string on the curveball. It is 0-2.
Even with that start that Cole had against Seattle, he still maintains a 2.91 ERA. That's the 3rd best ERA in the league. He's 7th in strikeouts. Opponents are only hitting .235 against him. It's been an outstanding year.
0-2 pitch. Got it in on the fist of Cano. And Hamels, since the All-Star break, just allowed 9 total bases to left-handed hitters since the All-Star break. That's a 191 slugging percentage. 47 at bats and 9 bases. That's pretty well shutting down left-handed hitters. Got Heredia at first. Still 0-2 to Cano. Laid off that hard breaking ball. It's 1-2. Well, with 1 out, if you're thinking about a double play, probably a good idea to talk about that. Hamels has induced 16 ground ball double plays this year. Rangers a couple of steps to the right for Cano. So Adrian Beltre well off the line at third. Ready, a little calling card from Hamels. Those 16 double plays behind Cole Hamels, just 3 shy of his career high. That occurred back in 2010 and again last year. 19 double plays each of those 2 seasons. Cano back in, hitting at the very back of the left-handed hitter's batter's box. Slightly open stance as Hamels sets. 2 balls, 2 strikes. American League hit leaders. Jose Altuve with 185, then Mookie Betts on down the line to Robinson Cano with 167. He is 5th in the American League this year. Well to right center field. That is going to leave the ballpark. Way out of here for Cano. Mariners on top 2-0.
Cano didn't miss that one. He had a great swing at a fastball. That's about his best bolt to right center field. trying to throw that ball in. It looked like it cut back toward the middle of the plate.
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
And he got a good one to hit. It looked like that was one that maybe he was trying to sink in instead of cut over the middle of the plate. And there it goes, way back in right center field. No doubt about that one.
So the Mariners out quickly in front, 2-0. Nelly Cruz, also very much a home run threat. He's the team leader with 35 round trippers this year, hitting at 280. 2 balls, no strikes. So Cole Hamels giving up the home run to Cano, his 20th home run allowed this year in 173 innings. Tapper that Hamels gets to. Quick throw, got it. Nice play by Cole Hamels.
Cole took a quick look just to see where Adrian was. He's seen Adrian make that play so many times, but Adrian was way back and didn't have any chance to come in and get that ground ball. No problem though. Cole saw that Adrian wasn't there, picked it up, threw Cruz out at first base on a nice play.
Now 2 outs. Kyle Seager coming up. Here's the replay of that Cano home run in real speed. Almost 105 miles an hour coming off his bat. That launched about halfway up in the lower bleachers out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure he can hit one much better than that,
yeah,
to that part of the ballpark. That looked like it was pretty much maxed out. Good pitch to hit, perfect swing, great contact, right trajectory. Under all those circumstances, that's about where it ended up.
1-0 pitch to Kyle Seager makes it 2 balls and no strikes. Seager having a great year for the Mariners, a .290 mark, 25 home runs, and a team leading 86 RBI. Cano, though, with the 2-run home run caught him in RBI. Ahead of the count, 3-0. Seager trying to keep this first inning going for Seattle. Dae-Ho Lee, the big right-handed hitting first baseman, is next. Three and 1. Seager, a nemesis every single time the Rangers and Mariners play. Outside, ball 4. Draws the 2-out walk. Second walk of the inning, allowed by Cole Hamels.
And 27 pitches. Yu Darvish had a high pitch total in the first inning. Looks like Cole's going to do the same thing. Trying to get Dae-Ho Lee before he gets to 30 pitches.
Yeah, Darvish was up over 30, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Well, not what you expect from these two guys, but they both have the ability to settle down and make it tough on the opposition after this first inning. Dae-Ho Lee, 13 home runs, a .259 average, 2 for 7. There goes Seager from first as Hamels paid him no attention whatsoever. And the stolen base by Seager gets him in scoring position. Now that's his 3rd stolen base for Kyle Seager. We saw him get his first in the series down in Arlington last week. Taking advantage of Cole Hamels' focus on Dae-Ho Lee at the plate. Change up, it's 0-2.
And Dae-Ho Lee had a hard time with the change up last time. He's geared up, you can tell he's geared up to hit the fastball. He looks like one of those guys you can throw the change up as often as you want to him. He's not going to make much of an adjustment to it.
Now, he has struck out 4 times against Hamels in 7 at bats. And I would think most of them have been on that changeup.
Yeah, I would too. And Seager just watched for the first movement without any regard to a possible throw to first. And just took off and guessed right.
Looper to right center. That's in for a base hit. Seager will score, and immediately the stolen base comes into play as Lee with the RBI base hit makes it a 3-0 Seattle lead.
You can tell he has trouble with the changeup, but He doesn't have trouble with a fastball. He turned that one around to right center field. After the walk and the stolen base, Dae-Ho Lee gets a fastball out over the plate. Does a nice job of going over second base with that line drive.
Yeah, and you saw where Jonathan Lucroy had that sign. The target was inside and missing by 3/4 the width of the plate. Cole Hamels paid the price. Doug Brocail out for a quick visit to the mound. Leonys Martin, the number 7 hitter now, will bat in this first inning. Mariners 3 runs across on 2 hits and 2 walks. Leonys Martin, a .241 hitter. Rifles one fair down the first baseline. Over to cut it off, Nomar Mazara. Dae-Ho Lee will stop at third as Leonys Martin, first ball swinging, has a double.
Seattle's lost 8 out of 10. They haven't been playing great baseball, but they've come out here in the first inning swinging the bats. They've benefited from 2 walks. Both walks have come around to score. They've had a home run and a double. They like to hit the first pitch.
First pitch to Jesus Sucre, the catcher, is outside for ball 1. Sucre just recalled by the Mariners. The reason he's in the lineup today, that bottom line tells you he's 3 for 5 in his career against Cole Hamels. One ball and 1 strike. Sucre 1 for 8 in previous ball games at AAA Tacoma this year. In 24 ball games, Sucre hit an even .300. Base hit, center field. 1 run is home. Martin coming around. Here comes the throw. It is too high all the way to the backstop. 2 runs across. Down to second goes Sucre, and the Mariners lead 5-0. Cole Hamels getting rocked here in the first, just has not been able to find the answer.
No, a lot has to do with the location.
Yep.
Most of the balls they're hitting are fastballs right near the middle of the plate. He's been unable to locate it on either side of the plate where he wants to. They've come back over the middle of the plate, and to the Mariners' credit, when they've had that opportunity, they've cashed in.
Yep, sure have.
All 4 balls hit for base hits have been hit solidly.
So Sucre out at second, still 2 outs. Here's Ketel Marte. Foul ball, 0-1. Marte hitting at .264. A home run and 27 RBI. He is the 9th man to come to the plate. So the Mariners have sent everybody to the plate here in the first inning. Marte 6 for 23 against Cole Hamels. Alex Claudio loosening in that Ranger bullpen.
It's going to be pitch number 37 right here from Cole in the first inning. They batted around.
1-1 pitch. Well located fastball there. It's 1-2. And the left-hander back to the plate. Got him swinging. Foul tipped into Jonathan Lucroy's glove, and that'll do it. But Mariners send 9 men to the plate. 5 of them score. They strand 1. After 1, Seattle 5, Texas 0. Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. Well, Cole Hamels has a look on his face like, what in the world just happened? I had no answer for that. Probably the last thing that would have come to his mind had he even thought about that, but it happens. That's something now that has to be forgotten and corrected. Adrian Beltre facing his good buddy Felix Hernandez. 1 ball and 1 strike. Beltre and the rest of the Rangers coming off a streak at home where they just went crazy. Beltre now 26 home runs, 91 RBI, hitting at .291. That's down for a base hit. And at least temporarily, Adrian Beltre has bragging rights talking to Felix Hernandez. You know, the first Ranger base runners. The Rangers start to claw their way back.
Yeah, when good hitters get into streaks like Adrian's in, it really doesn't matter who's pitching. They're going to be taking swings at pitches and making solid contact. That's a pitch down, a breaking ball down, not a terrible pitch. Adrian just waited on it, yelling at Hernandez going to first base.
Our Bank of America Fox tracker showing you the location of that last pitch.
Adrian's 37 for his last 99, hitting close to 370 over 100 at bats. He's also driven in coming into the game 26 runs in 26 games.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yep, the lineup's been hot, and he's been among the hottest. This time of year, that's exactly what you expect from Adrian. Certainly saw it last year.
Odor drives one to right. This one, though, is going to stay in the ballpark. It's Gutierrez halfway back on the track, hauls it in for out number 1. Well, Rugnet has been as hot, if not hotter, than Adrian Beltre, and gave that a pretty good ride, but came up short.
Yeah, that one just didn't hit the good part of the bat. Otherwise, it would have gone farther than that. We've seen that about 7 or 8 times in the last couple of weeks. You can see the movement on that pitch. Takes it off the end of the bat, just off the barrel, and allows it, instead of jumping into the second or third row, it stayed in the ballpark.
No, 1 gone. Beltre still at first. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. Strike 1. Lucroy, as a Ranger, hitting at .289. 8 home runs in a Texas uniform, 18 RBI. Overall, new career high for himself with 21 home runs. He continues to extend that home run mark. 297, 68 driven in. Behind the back, Seager to second. Cano turns it. Around the horn they go. 5-4-3. And quickly the Rangers finish in the second. No runs a hit, nobody left. After 1.5, Mariners leading 5-0. Look at this afternoon's greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Cleveland Indians, they are hot. Also swept the last two opponents, the Twins and the Marlins. They improved their record to 79-56. That's 23 above 500 for the first time since 2007. Meanwhile, Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers, home run today off Chris Sale, his 30th home run of the year, his 10th career 30 home run season for Miguel Cabrera.
You know, another player that's hot, Buzz, we were talking about him before the game, is Brian Dozier from the Twins. He had 2 home runs, knocked in 3 runs in the first 5 innings of the game today. He's got 37 home runs and 90 RBIs, 32 doubles, 5 triples, 13 stolen bases. He's hitting almost 280. Boy, that season's kind of snuck up on. Not many people are keeping close tabs on the Twins.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of people, I'm one of them, that didn't have the slightest idea he had 37 home runs.
You know, the Twins really have fallen on hard times the last month. They are now with the worst record in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
You tend to lose track of a guy like Dozier, who's having a great year for them.
He's going to hit 40 home runs and great chance to knock in 100 runs on that kind of a team.
Now Cole Hamels gets the strikeout of Guillermo Heredia, who started off the first inning by walking and scoring. That was the start of a bad inning. Now the strikeout, hopefully starting a good second inning for Cole Hamels. 3 strikeouts for the Rangers left-hander.
Yep, that was a good breaking ball, down and in. That kind of set the tone, unfortunately, for the first inning when Heredia walked on 8 or 9 pitches. High pitch count right off the bat and a base runner.
Franklin Gutierrez, who struck out his first time, takes strike 1 here. Gutierrez, 247 average with 13 home runs and 35 driven in for the Mariners. Changeup, that just floats a little bit low. Rangers in an overshift with 3 defenders on the left side of the diamond. Might have seen home plate umpire Dale Scott and a look over at the Ranger dugout. Heard a little chirping over there about that last pitch. Hit pretty well to right field. Mazzara is back. That one is leaving the ballpark. Franklin Gutierrez, his 14th home run of the year. It is a 6-0 Seattle lead.
Gutierrez has some power. That ball jumped off his bat to the opposite field. Playing against, most of the time against lefties, but he's a strong guy. And per at bat, he can hit a lot of home runs. 12 of his 14 this year have come against lefties.
Yeah, for Franklin Gutierrez now, that's his 29th home run in the last 2 seasons in fewer than 400 bats.
Yeah, per at bat, it's pretty good.
So 2 home runs in the ball game. The man who had the first one is at the plate now, Robinson Cano. 1 ball and no strikes. Ball didn't just scrape the back of the wall either. That got out by 5 or 6 rows into the right field bleachers. Breaking ball got away from Hamels. 2 balls and no strikes to Cano. Robinson hit his 32nd home run of the year, his first time up. Now 86 RBI, and as we mentioned, he and Kyle Seager tied for the team leadership in that category. 3 balls, no strikes. A little bit over 100 miles an hour coming off the bat of Gutierrez. Seen that look on Cole's face a few too many times today for his liking. 3-1 to Cano.
Yeah, he could tell just by this, as we say, the sound of the bat, the trajectory off the bat, that was not going to be a good result.
Yep.
He knew it immediately.
Base hit to left field for Cano. He is aboard with a 1-out single, now 2 for 2. And it brings up Nelson Cruz.
Got a few shout outs to make. Bob and Ginny Harema are here from Fairview, Texas, celebrating their 54th anniversary. Jerry and Zoe Poston from Keller. I'd like to say hi to Jerry's mom, Doris, who's a big Ranger fan, and to Susan and Bob Morgan, who are back home taking care of her.
Change up on the first pitch to Nelly Cruz, floats down and away for ball one.
Also, Ronnie and Tina Carroll would like to say hi to their friends and family back in Pilot Point. And a shout out to the Texas Rangers Women's Club for Mark, Starla, Lisa, Carolyn, Letitia, and Terry, all here today. And a shout out from us too to the Texas Rangers Women's Club. Thank you, ladies, for all you do for the Rangers.
A 1-1 the count to Nelson Cruz. Cruz hit a little tapper back to the mound his first time up. Chopped foul to run the count to a ball and 2 strikes. Now you go back to 2009. How about the home run leaders in all of baseball? Pujols, a 7 home run advantage over Miguel Cabrera. Then Bautista and Nelly Cruz not that far behind. Nelly Cruz, by the way, the only major leaguer who has 35 or more home runs in each of the last 3 years. Fouls that out of play. Cruz this year with 35 of them again, and that is 35th yesterday. Two balls, 2 strikes. And again, Alex Claudio up, and this time he is heating up with the intent of probably coming in the ball game. Because I very much like yesterday, I think Jeff Bannister going to be mindful of the pitch totals and what's happened in the early going. Cruz down on strikes for Hamels, his 4th strikeout. But at some point this time of year, you look at one of your top 2 starters having a tough time, you say, well, you know, is there going to be any benefit for him to stay out there much longer? And probably the answer is no.
Don't get your work in and come back strong the next time out.
56 pitches for Hamels. Kyle Seager drew a walk in the first inning. Takes ball 1 here. Had to make that determination after 4 innings with Yu Darvish yesterday. Maybe not a popular decision. You hate to think, if you're a fan, they're throwing in the towel, but the benefits outweigh the possible good that can come from that. Two and 0 to Seager. Robinson Cano at first, 2 outs. A run across here in the second inning. Now 3-0. Hamels walked 2 in the first inning. Both of them scored. It's been one of those days when he's located some pitches to hitters. He's had 4 strikeouts in the 5 outs that have occurred. Ball 4.
That's going to be it, I bet.
I would think so. 2 on, 2 out. Dae-Ho Lee coming up. Nope, they're going to stick with him. Dae-Ho Lee had an RBI single in the first. That drove home his 45th run of the year.
Now, Lee got a fastball out over the plate and drove it to right center field. I've seen enough of him this year to know that that's pretty much what he's looking to hit, is a fastball.
Changeup missed. 1 ball and no strikes.
He had the home run off, I think it was Jake Diekman early in the year to win a ball game to left field. Turned around a mid-90s fastball.
Extra innings, I think it was.
Yep.
He rips that to left. That is down for a base hit. Cano being waved around. He will score. Dae-Ho Lee, another RBI single. It is 7-0 Seattle. And that is going to do it. So Jeff Bannister said that's enough. No sense letting it get any further out of hand for Cole Hamels, who visibly upset with himself and upset with the results that he has had in this ball game. He'll go 1 1/3 innings and give way to Alex Claudio, who will be summoned from the left field bullpen of the Rangers. So Hamels departs trailing 7-0. A couple of runners on base, his responsibility. We'll come back to Safeco Field right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Driven him from the ball game after 1 2/3, leading 7-0, and Alex Claudio coming on for the 30th time this year. Alex been doing a great job in situations where it requires somebody to come in and throttle down the opposing hitters. 3-1 record, that 3.24 ERA. Opponents hitting .283 against the 24-year-old left-hander. He inherits runners at second and first with 2 outs. Leonys Martin is the hitter. 7 runs on 7 hits against Hamels, an inning and 2/3, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. First pitch a little bit high to Leonys. Martin hit the first pitch that he saw from Cole Hamels right down the right field line for a double his first time up.
Well, earlier in the season, right before the All-Star break, Cole had somewhat similar starts, back-to-back starts against the Twins that didn't go well.
Yep.
Gave up 15 hits and 10 runs in 8 1/3, and then came back after the All-Star break and was absolutely terrific. Well, he's had a similar situation here. 2 bad starts against the Mariners, and he'll think about it, work on things between starts, and come back strong. Put those 2 games behind him.
2-0 pitch. Got 2-1. Yeah, I guess the carryover benefit, Tom, having a short outing is you get a little more rest and a little more time to work on stuff in your bullpens between starts. You don't want to have it happen that way, but you know, if you're looking for a silver lining, that's probably it. Especially this time of year, you can always use a little extra time. 2 balls, 2 strikes now after the foul ball. Now Martin, after the base hit, .242 average. Facing Alex Claudio. Mariners with 5 in the first, 2 more here in the second. Alex trying to stop the bleeding right there. Got him swinging. So Claudio, as he has been able to do, comes in and strands the runners. 2 runs across with 2 left for the Mariners. Will go to the 3rd inning in Seattle. Mariners leading 7-0. weekend series, September 16th through the 18th. And I'd like for you to all come out and support your Rangers on Friday, September 16th. You can also enjoy a post-game fireworks show. Just use the coupon code FIREWORKS to get upper level tickets for $14 at TexasRangers.com/specials. Ranger fans a little subdued here at Safeco this afternoon, and a 7-0 score would tell you why. Felix Hernandez back out to the hill, and he will face the bottom third of the Ranger order. Mitch Moreland starts off and looks at strike one. Moreland, .251 with 22 home runs, 57 RBI. He has provided some thump against Felix Hernandez. He rips that one just foul down the right field line. Boy, Mitch has been swinging the bat very well.
Well, that's Felix's best fastball today, inside, and Mitch just tattooed it, turned it around, up and in.
And Mitch got the extra base hit going for him. 17 of his last 40 hits have gone for extra bases. That's out of play to the left. Still 0-2. Mitch saw his 3-game hitting streak end yesterday. Took an 0 for 3 in that ball game. Reached base, a hit by pitch. That was almost another hit by pitch, taking that breaking ball.
Three games in a row for that one.
That back foot, he's going to have to, like you said yesterday, Tommy, he has to wear one of those steel-toed shoes.
Yeah, he wasn't going to move it.
No. 1-2. And to point out what you had brought up, Tom, earlier about Felix Hernandez, that graphic we just saw about the lack of fastballs for a third strike. Felix Hernandez velocity dropping a little bit, and I'm sure he is as aware of it as anybody. Probably doesn't feel that anymore is a pitch that he can throw by people even when he has them set up for it.
Now, when we showed the highlights from some of the games that he pitched here last year against the Rangers, we didn't have radar gun speeds, but he looked like there was a lot more life on his fastball. I would guess they were 93, 94-ish. And the last start that he had in Texas and this start today, he's more 89 to 91.
And Marlins slicing one to left center field, but Jonas Martin got a great break on it. That is out number 1.
But the other thing about Hernandez is with his changeup, his curveball, slider, all the other pitches he has, he can still pitch a gem and make you look pretty bad without the 94 or 5-mile-an-hour fastball. Maybe he's not going to have that anymore, but not necessarily going to take a lot away from his ability to win ball games for you.
Well, one thing about it, if he does have it in his back pocket, he knows what to do with it. He's not going to waste it.
Yeah, if he has it, Adrian Beltre will see it.
Yeah.
If Adrian Beltre doesn't see it, it's not there right now. But the other side of it is opponents are hitting .224 against him this year, only 101 hits in 122 innings. So with or without the velocity, still a terrific pitcher.
Yeah, it's not like he's going into a gunfight with a knife.
No.
It's he's got a lot of weapons to use. 33, almost 34% of the time in his last 3 starts, that power changeup has been the effective weapon for Felix. Carlos Gomez taking outside, 2 balls and a strike. Gomez, a .211 average overall, a .222 average in a Ranger uniform. You got a scoreboard malfunction where there's a video that's going crazy, and that's going to be a little distracting.
The hitter's not going to be able to hit with that going on, so they had to turn it off.
A little bit low. 3-1 to Carlos Gomez. Carlos, the number 8 hitter, trying to get aboard in front of the Rangers shortstop Elvis Andrus. Ball 4. Carlos Gomez takes the walk. First free pass issued by Felix Hernandez today. No, 1 on, 1 out. Elvis Andrus coming up. But first, we're going to send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Well, here the Mariners thumping the Rangers in the early going. 7-0. Carlos Gomez at first after drawing a 1-out walk here in the third, and Elvis Andrus at the plate. Elvis brings in a 3-game hitting streak. 0-1. Our TXU Energy power player to watch would be that man on your screen right there. Elvis, a .293 career average against Felix Hernandez. Reached base 35 times. Only Mike Trout has reached more times against the King. 36 for Trout. And we say it a lot when there's a quality, one of the best pitchers in baseball on the mound. It seems like Elvis Andrus has the ability to hit against those pitchers extremely well. We've said it with CC Sabathia. We've said it with David Price.
Jared Weaver.
Felix Hernandez. Elvis just has that ability. And I don't know if it would call it rising to the occasion. But
I think that's what it is, yeah.
He enjoys the competition against the best. On the move, Gomez. The throw to second, not in time. Follows up, and he will stay at second.
That's a good move.
Yeah. Carlos Gomez using one of his weapons as the stolen base comes into play.
Tough play for Cano. He's trying to catch the short hop and make the tag, and you can see how well Martin backed that play up. He was right behind second base to catch that ball. Elvis has been excellent this year with men in scoring position, so here you go.
Takes that pitch off the plate inside. It's 3-1. Well, Elvis trying to turn the lineup over against Felix Hernandez. Nomar Mazara is next.
I mentioned earlier that in 2 starts against the Rangers prior to this one, Hernandez had walked 9 batters in 10 innings. His walk totals are up a little bit this year.
.3-1 pitch. Outside, ball 4. Back-to-back 1-out walks. And Hernandez jawing with Dale Scott a little bit. Jesus Sucre going to intercept Felix Hernandez, who was walking towards Scott. Mel Stottlemyre Jr., the pitching coach, quickly out there to make sure that Felix doesn't lose his head and lose his spot on the active list for this game.
Take a look and see where that pitch was. Borderline, but it's hard for a pitcher to yell and scream at the umpire on that pitch. Want to strike, throw it in the strike zone.
Our Bank of America Foxtrack showing you that just touching, maybe touching the outside corner.
Maybe. There's one thing if half the ball's in the strike zone, you might have a little bit of an argument, but to go berserk on that kind of a pitch, that's a little overplaying it, really.
Well, if that's a 1-2 pitch instead of a 3-1 pitch where you've been around the strike zone, that's a whole different deal. Dale Scott, the crew chief, is calling the balls and strikes here this afternoon. Mike Malinsky, Bob Davidson, Dan Iasonia are on the bases. Nomar Mazara struck out the first time that he faced Hernandez this afternoon. Takes that pitch in the dirt. It gets away from Sucre. That's going to allow Gomez and Andrus to advance 90 feet. They're now at second and third in a 2-0 count to Nomar Mazara. Well, one thing about Felix Hernandez, and maybe the thing that has been his downfall against the Rangers, the emotional part of the game. He tends to get a little more upset, I think, when he faces the Rangers when things don't go well. And it could have something to do with Beltre riding him a little bit. Opponents have not been able to do much, as you can see, with a 174 average with runners in scoring position. 2-1 now. But I'm going to think the back and forth that Beltre and Felix Hernandez have going kind of makes it a little tough on Felix Hernandez to keep that focus when things don't go the way he thinks they should.
You know, he's got a 7-0 lead in the game. With one out, he walks Gomez, goes 3-1 on Elvis, and then throws at best a borderline pitch and kind of lost his cool.
That ball is ripped to right field, way up in the air. Back is Gutierrez. Goodbye.
I'll really be upset. That's about as high as Nomar's hit one this year. I couldn't tell where that one was going to come down.
Over the 380 mark, and it had to be 380 high. Nomar Mazara, 3-run blast, and all of a sudden the Rangers begin their climb back, trailing 7-3.
Well, 2 walks, and this fastball inside part of the play. It looked like when you see the swing and the contact, it looks like he popped it up, which I guess he did. It just went 380 feet.
Yeah. Just a long pop-up.
Yeah.
Now, Nomar Mazara, his 17th home run of the year. And a one-hopper off the bat of Ian Desmond. Kyle Seager takes care of it. 2 gone.
That's when you can't really jump to take that one back because it's coming straight down.
Nomar Mazara now talking about the home runs by a rookie in Ranger history, and he's sneaking up on that 20 home run plateau. He's had a couple of 30 home run outputs by rookies. Pete Incaviglia and Beltran down the right field line. That is just foul, hooking into the corner. Now, Felix Hernandez, remember in the outing that he had in Arlington, very similar. He kind of cruised through 3 innings and gave up a single run in the 4th. And Rangers had that 5-run outburst in the 5th, or 4-run outburst, I should say, in the 5th. Ended up being 6 runs in 4 innings on that day and 86 pitches. High and outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Beltran. Carlos lined to right back in the 1st inning. So the walks have played a big role in this afternoon's ball game. Felix Hernandez has walked 2. They have both come around to score in this inning. Cole Hamels walked 3, and 2 of them came in to score in the 1st inning. Fouled off the mask of Jesus Sucre. I think that was Felix's best fastball today. 93 miles an hour. It looked like he tried to reach back and let it go. See, inning by inning, cruising through the first 2 innings of 16 total pitches, and then here in the 3rd, 28 pitches to get the 2 outs. Top slowly to 3rd. Seager charging from the shortstop spot. The throw is not in time, and Carlos Beltran legging out an infield single.
Well, Seager did all he could on that play. He's not a shortstop. A regular shortstop may have been a little bit quicker to get to the ball and get rid of it. And Seager, as a 3rd baseman, playing way back, did the best he could.
The other Seager in the Seager family might have had a better shot at it.
Might have been able to do that.
Corey is a shortstop by trade with the Dodgers. Well, here's Beltre. That first pitch hits about 7 feet out in front of home plate. Ball 1. Adrian had a base hit to center. He was the first Ranger to reach base off of Felix Hernandez this afternoon. So Adrian now with that average on its way up toward 300, 293 at the moment. Inside, a breaking ball that backed up on him. 2-0. Felix Hernandez looking very much like Cole Hamels, the same facial expressions. Upset with himself, upset with what's going on.
I think the emotions got the best out of him. When you start yelling at the pitch he yelled at, that was borderline at best after a walk and a 3-1 count. You can tell that your emotions aren't in check for that particular game. And then the home run and now an infield hit. He's trying to take a deep breath and kind of regain his composure.
Yeah, I think that's where there's a big difference between Felix Hernandez today and Cole Hamels. You don't see that out of Cole. They're different people. That's just the way they're set up. But you might pin Cole Hamels' ears back on any given ball game, but it's not going to be something where he gets out of control emotionally. Well, 2-2 to Beltre. Carlos Beltran at first, 2 outs, 3 runs across here in the third. All 3. So now Beltre bidding to get aboard. Rougned Odor waiting in the on-deck circle, hoping to have a shot at Felix Hernandez here in the third inning. With 2 outs now, Beltran will get a running start from first. Dae-Ho Lee playing a couple of steps behind him. On the move, the payoff pitch, ball 4. Went with the breaking ball and wasn't nearly close enough for Beltre to offer at it. Now 3 walks in the inning for Felix Hernandez. Runners at first and second. And Rougned Odor coming up.
Well, 2 3-run home runs in the same inning would get you back in a ball game.
Now, the last homestand, Rougned Odor had a few of those. It's Cleveland, Seattle, and Houston. That last homestand, a .357 average with 6 home runs and 17 RBI. 9 runs scored. 7 of his 12 hits going for extra bases. 37th pitch of the inning. And Felix Hernandez fires a strike. Odor flied out to fairly deep right field his first time up. Got a pitch to hit and just didn't quite square it up. Beltran and Beltre, second and first. And that breaking ball catches the outside corner. Five-game hitting streak for Odor. 12 for 24. Check swing, pretty good breaking ball, and Hernandez burying that in the dirt. Odor able to check his swing. And we've seen Odor the last few ball games able to check his swing more on that than he had been earlier in the year. Rougned waiting. Sucre wants that pitch away. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Hernandez doesn't have that put away pitch, at least has not been able to throw it. Last 7 ball games, Odor slugging at a 1074 clip. 2 on with 2 out, a 2-2 count. Toward the Ranger dugout, off the screen in front of the Ranger players. Elvis, hit the ball the other way, will you please? Hit it fair. Preferably a long way fair, if you don't mind. Well, I don't know about you, Tom. This wasn't exactly what I envisioned when we were talking about Cole Hamels and Felix Hernandez.
I think we made the wrong call on that one. But based on the first 2 innings, this is not the 3rd inning we would have expected from Felix Hernandez either. 15 or 16 pitches after the double play to get out of the 2nd. And then somewhere around 40 pitches right now. Here in the 3rd inning.
Still 2-2. Yeah, and he's already in the danger zone as far as that goes. This inning, and even though it's the 3rd, still that starts to mount up on you pretty quickly, and your chances of making a mistake pitch rising rapidly. 41 pitches for Felix Hernandez in this inning. Right-hander, check second. In the dirt, 3-2. A good at bat by Rougned Odor. I guess you could say
that's what tells you, Buzz. What it tells you is how well he's seeing the ball.
That's
what
I was going to ask you. Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth.
He's not trying to get the bat started and let it go. He's seeing the ball and swinging at it when it's a strike right now.
Does that mean you're seeing it quicker out of the pitcher's hand?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. Identifying what kind of a pitch it is. You're just kind of in a zone. And he didn't, that bat never came forward. It never even looked like a check swing. He saw that thing, as you said, right out of his hand, determined what kind of a pitch it was, and knew it wasn't going to be a strike.
Well, our analytics stat of the day for you: fewest pitches per plate appearance. Rougned Odor, still the fewest. Pitch lined to right field, but hooked foul. He got a breaking ball on 3-2 and was right on it.
Yeah, here's Hernandez has to be careful right now because he is in a zone.
Now, how many of those 5 home runs on this last homestand would you say were breaking balls or off-speed pitches?
Well, I know 2 of them were breaking balls on the outside corner that he yanked into the seats, and it might have been more than that.
I think there's one changeup.
I can see 2 of them.
Yeah.
They were up, though. They were about belt high and on the outside corner, and he reached out and yanked them into the seats in right field.
The runners again on the move. The 3-2. Chopped up the middle by Cano into right center field. Beltran will score. Odor with a long at bat that results in an RBI single. That makes it a 7-4 Seattle lead. Now, Rougned Odor driving in his 80th run of the year in a battle of wills in that at bat.
Hernandez knows that he can take him deep, and so he's going out of his way to make a good pitch. He didn't make a great pitch. It's up and away. Rougned's a little bit out in front of it, hit it toward the end of the bat, but he found a hole with it. Good at bat, long at bat.
3 walks, 2 hits in the inning. Make that 3 hits in the inning. 4 runs across. Tying run at the plate now in the person of Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy grounded into a double play in the first time up, and he pops that first pitch foul back into the seats. 0-1. Lucroy, that .296 average for the year, facing Felix Hernandez now.
45 pitches.
Wow.
Most pitches I can remember in one inning was like 50 or 51 by Todd Stottlemyre to start a game in Texas.
Base hit to center field. Beltre will score. Odor stops at second. Lucroy, an RBI hit. It's a 5-run inning, and it's a 2-run ball game now. Mariners leading 7-5.
Well, I think what's happening right now, Buzz, is what you're talking about. The more pitches you throw, the worse your stuff is. He's zeroing in on 50 pitches this inning. That was a hanger, and Matt did everything except get that up in the air a little bit. Gets it up in the air a little bit. That's a right center field home run.
Yeah, sure is. And they're just now stirring in that Seattle bullpen. This is not the customary part of the ball game where you have to worry about somebody loosening in support of Felix Hernandez. Mitch Moreland for the 2nd time in this inning, and he chops the first pitch foul. Nick Vincent will get up and start hastily loosening. Now the Rangers another 5-run inning here today. They are now 1 behind Boston, or 2 behind Boston, excuse me. 19 5-run innings for the Rangers.
I'd like to know how many times in Felix's career he had 7 runs right off the bat and didn't last long enough to get a win. Bet you that hasn't happened very often.
Probably fewer than the fingers on both hands.
Yeah, I would think so.
The tying runs on base here in the 4th inning, or 3rd inning. Mitch Moreland, a line drive to center that opened up this frame. Down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Skied to left field. Heredia coming on. And Felix Hernandez escapes the inning. It had to feel like an eternity for him. Omar Mazara got it started with a 3-run bomb to right field. Rangers went on to put 5 on the board. It's now Seattle 7 and the Rangers 5. Coca-Cola family pack. It includes 4 tickets, 4 jumbo hot dogs, 4 Coke soft drinks, 2 Kids Zones wristbands, and 1 souvenir program. Family pack's an ideal way to come on out and support the Rangers at Globe Life Park in Arlington when they play the Oakland A's on Sunday, September 18th. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to get your Coca-Cola family pack today. Well, Alex Claudio, and I think mindset with Alex Claudio right now is keeping close. We got a chance to come back and win this thing.
Yeah.
7-5 ball game now as the Rangers put 5 on the board in the top of the 3rd. Jesus Sucre starting off for the Mariners. And Claudio fires strike 1. Alex came on to strike out Leonis Martin in the 2nd. That seems like a month ago.
This seems kind of like Alex's good luck charm, this kind of a game. Just come in, kind of hang in there, let your team come back.
1-1 to Sucre, who had a 2-run single in the 1st inning against Cole Hamels. And the left-hander back to the plate. Good changeup floats in. 1-2. Loop to right center field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Sucre, I guess he hit it just like he was thrown to him. A little soft single into center. A leadoff base hit. Ketel Marte will be next.
Doing the changeup. He waited long enough. Hit it right off the end of the bat. Didn't miss it anyway. Blooped it in for a little hit.
That is the 8th Seattle base hit of the afternoon. 2nd for Sucre. Ketel Marte struck out in the first inning. As a matter of fact, his strikeout was the end of the first inning. Mariners sent 9 men to the plate. 5 of them scored. There have been 2 5-run innings in this ball game already. 5 for Seattle in the first, 5 for the Rangers in the third. Last 4 games, Ketel Marte had a rough going for the young shortstop. Only 3 for 15 with 3 strikeouts. Two balls, no strikes. Alex Claudio out of Puerto Rico. 24-year-old left-hander. Two and one. Ketel Marte for Scott Services Club has hit anywhere from 1st to 7th, 8th, or 9th. Home runs a little lacking this year. And Mariners thought they'd have more power for Marte than what he's shown this year. A little late with that swing. 2 and 2. There's Scott Service. He has had pretty much a roller coaster first year. A lot of injuries to deal with, and some pitching problems. He's gotten the Mariners though where they're 2 games over 500 at this point. Now back, still 2 and 2. Alex Claudio was in the second game of the Houston series. Worked the third of an inning, gave up a couple of runs. They both scored after he left the game. Got him swinging.
Good pitch.
The pitch in on Marte for the strikeout. 1 gone.
Marte's gone down twice in this game.
Well, Alex Claudio with his second strikeout. In fact, both outs that he's recorded have come via the punch out. Back to the top of the order for the 3rd time this afternoon, and Guillermo Heredia walked and scored in the first, struck out in the second. Backdoor, a little cutting slider for a strike. Heredia, home run, 6 RBI. 218 hitters. He stands at the plate. Sucre at first. One ball, one strike. Distinct difference for Alex Claudio this year, left-handed hitters as opposed to right-handed hitters. The .212 average with left-handers against him. Drops that off-speed pitch in. Right-handers hitting .316 against him, although those numbers pretty well skewed to the first half of his outings this year. Lately, he's been able to use the changeup and breaking ball combination much more effective against right-handers. Seems to have found the right combination. 1-2. Ready walking across home plate.
he was ready to chase that one to swing at it. He would have swung at it if it was a few inches closer, even if it was a foot outside.
Heredia anxiously awaiting the next pitch from Claudio. Fly ball to left, not hit very deep. Coming on, Gomez. Andrus going out. Elvis makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Now, that's one we've seen Carlos Gomez call off most of the time in his first first few outings with the Rangers. Didn't that time.
I'm not sure if he got a good jump on that ball. That's one of those balls where the hitter takes a big swing, and sometimes the outfielder is fooled a little bit by the swing and doesn't realize it's bad contact and waits or takes a quick step back. And that must have happened to Carlos on that play, because that's a ball that several times in the homestand we saw him make easily.
Right. Is there a point where an outfielder will not make the call because he's worried about the infielder being too far into the catch?
I think you just saw it right there. Yeah. I think he got to the point. The hard one for an outfielder is, number one, you know it's yours to take charge of. It's easier for you to come in than it is for the infielder to go back. But if you're not positive that you're going to get there, you can't really call for it. You have to let the infielder go. And I think Carlos knows that Elvis is an excellent shortstop, and he's very good. Well, take a look and see what he does right here. He takes a little step back and a little step to his right, and that keeps him from getting there. So he really can't call for that, because by the time he would have called for it, Elvis, you're right, Buzz, Elvis was too far into the catch and might have resulted in a collision. But he also knows that Elvis is pretty good going back on those balls himself.
Yeah, you just saw a pass ball charge to Jonathan Lucroy. It looked like that Alex Claudio crossed him up on the first pitch. Next was in the dirt to Franklin Gutierrez. Gutierrez, a home run to right his last time up. He's 1 out of 2 today. Average at 250 for Gutierrez. Got Jesus Sucre at second, 2 outs in the 3rd inning. Claudio tried to keep the Mariners scoreless for the first time this afternoon. 3 balls and no strikes. Well, granted, you do have a first base open, right-handed hitting Gutierrez, but you've got a pretty tough left-hander in Robinson Cano in the on-deck circle. Now Claudio ready for the 3-0 pitch. 2 on with 2 out. Cano coming up. I think the key there was falling behind Gutierrez. He'd much rather deal with Gutierrez if you're ahead of him than you would put him on and have to deal with Cano. Cano this afternoon 2 for 2. A 2-run home run in the first, a single, and a run scored in the second. So the average up to 306 for the All-Star second baseman. Cano with a 9-game hitting streak now active. One ball, no strikes. Last 7 ball games, Cano hasn't waited around. Fewer than 3 pitches on average per plate appearance.
10 of his 31 home runs have come on the first pitch. Occasionally you'll see him just take all the way. He did that the first time up in this ball game. Took the first pitch.
Claudio set a check on the runners. That is in for a strike. Yoander Mendez, young left-hander for the Rangers, loosening in that Ranger bullpen. Yoander seeking his major league debut. It looks like he might get an opportunity in a close ball game. Claudio's 1-1 pitch to Cano. Got him reach for it, and Mitch Moreland will take it to the bag. Nice job.
Boy, Alex.
Good work to Cano. So, no runs on a hit, a walk, and 2 men left after 3. It's the Mariners 7, the Rangers 5. Now let's go to Rick Renner in our Safeco Field in Seattle. The Mariners 7-5 on top of the Rangers at the moment. But the way this ball game is going, that can change momentarily. Rangers will have Carlos Gomez, Elvis Andrus, and Nomar Mazara face Felix Hernandez. Hernandez had a lot of time on the bench to think about the last inning, which saw 10 Rangers come to the plate, 5 of them scoring. And that whole thing was started by the man in your screen right there. That is Carlos Gomez, who walked with 1 out. And he just missed that. A towering fly ball to left. Guillermo Heredia waiting for it to come down. That is out number 1.
That almost went over the bullpen and off the scoreboard out there.
And 1 out. Elvis Andrus coming up. We're going to go down and visit with John Radigan.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Steve Buechele, Buzz and Tom. What a day it was for him yesterday as he got to watch his son Shane with Steve and his entire family. Shane makes that college debut against Notre Dame.
I think the way Nancy and I looked at it, it was big because it was Notre Dame. It's his debut, and you know, sometimes week 1 is maybe not such a noted opponent, but for it to be Notre Dame at home in front of a packed house, it's just unbelievable.
And you got to be there.
Got to be there, man. Soaked it all in.
He really was at a bit of loss for words to try and describe exactly how he was feeling still today. He flew in with one of the team owners, Neil Liebman, late last night, and he says, you know, I got to see that first one, but I swear to you, as much as I'd hate to miss the rest of them, I hope I don't see another one until November. He's hoping the Rangers are busy till November, and he misses all the game. But he had such a great time, great experience with his whole family at his side, and Shane, wow, what a debut.
Yeah, you're right, John. What a tremendous thrill that had to be. Anybody, any parent, I think, could only imagine what Steve and Nancy must have been feeling sitting there in the stands.
Yeah, you just can't. I couldn't even conceive of what that could feel like in front of 100,000 people. You know that everyone in that stadium, well, everyone rooting for the Longhorns, which was most of them, counting on Shane to lead them to the promised land. Poor kid's only 18 years old, going out there as a true freshman, trying to live up to the expectations of all those people, and then to come through like that.
Right.
Just a spectacular game. So happy for him.
That was something, and believe me, every Ranger, the Ranger organization was thinking about that last night.
Well, they had about 15 iPads watching that game before the plane took off, back with the players, up front with the coaches. Heck, if that guy, one receiver didn't drop the pass in the first quarter, that would have been an 80-yard touchdown added on to the rest of it.
You know, Elvis with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andrus drew a walk and scored last inning. Both he and Carlos Gomez came home on Nomar Mazara's 3-run home run. And Elvis staying alive, just barely ticking that breaking ball. Elvis at 295 with the average, 4 home runs, 58 driven in. His road average in the last 30 days, 3rd in Major League Baseball at 444. But the on-base percentage on the road, 4th in Major League Baseball. I think if you're Felix Hernandez right about now, you're probably thinking, what in the world do I have to do to get some of these Rangers out? They're giving me a hard time. I've already gotten into 76 pitches, and I'm just now in the 4th inning. Got him swinging a breaking ball down and away, and Felix Hernandez, it's just his 2nd strikeout of the afternoon. 2 gone.
Well, so far a little bit of a comeback for Felix here in the 4th inning. I don't know how many innings he's had, like the 3rd inning. He's thrown that many pitches, 3 walks, good breaking ball. Elvis is battling up there, but that last one just broke a little bit too far for him.
Well, here's Nomar Mazara, who got the scoring started in that 3rd inning. His 17th home run of the year. And first ball swinging, Cano has it. And that'll do it. So the Rangers retired in order by Felix Hernandez. We played 3.5 at Safeco Field with the Mariners leading the Rangers 7-5. Days. You can get tickets, parking, and a meal deal for just $10 each. Come on out to Globe Life Park. Support your Texas Rangers as they take on the Los Angeles Angels. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to secure your $10 Tuesday tickets for September the 20th. Well, the Mariners come to bat here in the fourth inning, a 7-5 Seattle lead. Nelson Cruz to lead things off. Kyle Seager, Dae-Ho Lee to follow against Alex Claudio. Changeup floats in to Nelly Cruz. Cruz 0 for 2. He is tapped back to the mound and struck out this afternoon. Both those at bats against the starter Cole Hamels. Alex Claudio starting his second full inning of work. And he gets Cruz to reach and pop one up. Tough play from Mitch Moreland down that right field line. He can't get there. Now Mitch is going to throw behind to Claudio at first, but Cruz back, and he'll have a bloop leadoff single.
Yeah, there's just nothing you can do about that. If you're the right fielder and Nelly Cruz is the hitter, you're obviously going to be playing pretty deep. That ball was just as high as it was just too far for Mitch, and no play for Mazzara. Off the bat, you go good. You got him to pop it up, and then you start watching it transpire, and it's just out there in no man's land. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and you saw the Rangers shifted around to the left with the infield, so Odor was over in shortstop.
Yeah, he was a non-factor.
Now that is the 9th hit of the afternoon for the Mariners. A leadoff single here. Mariners had a leadoff single in the 3rd, but Claudio able to work around that. Here's Kyle Seager, who has walked twice. Just inside for ball 1. Seager walked and scored in the 1st. Walked in the 2nd, advanced as far as second base, but was stranded there. Claudio with a 1-0 pitch. Seager hitting at .290, as you saw. But a very, very good offensive year for these Mariners. To center field, Desmond has this one in his sights.
Just not fair. A little blooper falls in for a hit, and a line shot is right at the center fielder for an out.
A hard out number 1 with Cruz staying at first. And Desmond reading that ball off the bat very well. Well, here's Dae-Ho Lee. Lee has singled twice. He has driven in a run each time.
I got to see Dae-Ho Lee hit that changeup. He's hit 2 fastballs today. I want to see how many times he can swing before that changeup gets there. I want to see if he can swing, spin all the way around, and swing again.
It's possible. I believe he can. He's a pretty good athlete.
Like in the cartoon, and then you have to like dig yourself out of the hole that you spun into the ground.
Who's that? Disney's Goofy. Did Goofy do that? Is that good? There it was, and a little tapper. Lucroy going to be able to throw him out. Dae-Ho Lee with a 25-foot topper for out number 2. Down to second goes Nelson Cruz.
A lot of good memories between those two guys.
Yeah. Sure are, going back to last time the Rangers were in the World Series in 2011. Elvis trying to find out from Nelly Cruz how in the world he got that ball to fall in. Two outs, and Leonis Martin up for his 3rd at bat. Martin 1 out of 2 with a double and a strikeout today.
Elvis tried to push him off the bag, but he wasn't strong enough.
No, he picked on the wrong guy.
Who are you trying to push off the bag?
I don't know.
It wasn't Altuve.
Yeah, Adrian does that at third base. He picks a small guy.
Yeah.
That's one of the finer points that Elvis has to learn.
Elvis is always learning from Adrian. But one thing he didn't learn is you don't push someone that weighs 230 pounds. You push someone that weighs 160 pounds.
Well, maybe he learned something because he had Rugnev there just in case.
Maybe between the two of them, they could have pushed him.
3 balls and no strikes. So Martin, the advantage in the count, if he's able to get aboard and extend this 4th inning, Jesus Sucre, the catcher, is next. And 1. Leonis a 242 average. He is a career high 14 home runs. He's driven in 40 runs. Having a good year with the Mariners. They're very, very happy that they got him to play center field for him. They had hoped he'd be able to be their leadoff hitter, but that hasn't quite panned out yet. Ranger fans will remember the couple of times that Leonis Martin given extended shots at batting leadoff for the Rangers. Worked for a little while, but then Leonis got a little swing happy. Gladio with the 3-1 pitch. That'll fill the count. Martin this year with runners in scoring position, a 276 mark, so a little bit higher than his overall average. Right now, he's got Nelly Cruz out at second base with 2 outs. Alex Claudio trying to keep this a 2-run game. Call strike 3, and he got him. Everybody at home plate knew that. No, the leadoff single, no damage. 1 left for the Mariners. On to the 5th inning, 7-5 Seattle. Ball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today during the final days of the Ford Freedom Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Port of Seattle. Beautiful waterfront scene. We're right down the south side of that here at Safeco Field, just south of downtown. Rangers trailing 7-5 as Ian Desmond starts things off in the 5th inning. He takes ball 1 from Felix Hernandez. Desmond has flied to right and grounded to third. 0 for 2 today, hitting at .290. Breaking ball that hangs high, 2-0. Well, Felix Hernandez throwing his 80th pitch of the afternoon. 48 strikes, 32 balls, and for Felix Hernandez, that not a typical ball-strike ratio. Hit hard, Seager to the backhand, fires and gets it.
Looked like Adrian Beltre making that play. Hard hit ball, took a tricky hop, backhand it, turn and throw a strike all the way across the diamond. Nice play.
He has one of those ball magnets too.
Yeah, he sure does. That easily could have been a double down the left field line. It would have been with some guys playing over there.
Oh, good defense. That's the first out. Now here's Carlos Beltran. Beltran had an infield single in the third inning. Came around to score on Rougned Odor's base hit. Carlos 1 for 2, having lined to right field his first time up. It's right off the end of the bat, and it's foul. 1-1. Talking about Felix Hernandez now at 83 pitches. Our Kubota power stats. 49 pitches in that third inning. More than half of his pitches in that one frame. 13 pitches in the fourth inning. Funny game. Outside first. 1 ball, 2 strikes. What do you have? 17 pitches in the first, 16 pitches in the first 2 innings.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And he couldn't have had many in the fourth inning either. 1, 2, 3 inning.
Yeah, 14 of
14.
Call, strike 3. Scott taking a long look at it. Carlos Beltran called out. Second out here in the 5th.
Yeah, it looked like a tough pitch to hit, but it looked like a strike. Caught the bottom of the strike zone.
Felix Hernandez with punch out number 3. Jesus Sucre set up outside. The ball going back to the inside corner, but not the bottom of the strike zone. Adrian Beltre 1 for 1, a second inning single. In the third, he walked and scored. Adrian now 11 straight ball games in which he has scored a run. That is tied for the top mark in Ranger history. This one popped way up in the air.
Just missed that one too.
Seager hangs on, and that is another 1-2-3 inning. No, 7 straight sent down by Felix Hernandez. We played half the ball game in Seattle. Mariners by 2. $20 hot dog night is coming up on Wednesday, September 21st. LA Angels in town to play your Rangers that night. Head on out to Globe Life Park early and enjoy all the hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972 Rangers. Well, the 21-year-old southpaw Yoander Mendez is on now to make his major league debut. Mendez, the youngest player to make youngest pitcher to make a debut since Martin Perez. And Martin at that time was just about 100 days younger than Mendez is. Yoander called up for September in the minor leagues this year. A starter, went 12-3. A couple of stops in the Ranger minor league system. And the first pitch he throws in his major league career to Jesus Sucre is low for ball one. Mendez out of Valencia in Venezuela. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yoander Mendez, voted the last couple of years as having the best changeup in the Rangers organization.
If he's from Valencia, he probably grew up idolizing Felix Hernandez.
Yeah. Ace hit to center field. The fastball got turned around right back over Yoander's cap, and that's a leadoff single for Jesus Sucre, who is 3 for 3.
Second ball, Sucre's hit like that. He had the 2 RBI single in the first off Cole. Hit well up the middle. Last time up, he hit one off the end of the bat for a base hit.
Oh, a leadoff single. Now Ketel Marte, who has struck out twice today. There's that changeup that floats outside. Marte struck out in the first, struck out in the third this afternoon. Currently hitting at .262. One and one.
And there it is again.
There it is. And that's been the book on him. Apparently he's not concerned about the count or anything else. He throws it.
Yeah, first 2 pitches.
Has pretty good command of it. Matter of fact, Rangers have said they've had to really make him throw his fastball more to offset the changeup. There's again. 1 and 2. You know you have a good changeup when they're trying to tell you throw that fastball more to help set your changeup.
Yeah, he knows at the lower levels of the minor leagues that they don't have a chance to hit it. So rather than just have that huge success throwing his changeup, they want to make sure he works in the fastball too.
Little pop foul. Count will stay 1 and 2.
But sounds like it wasn't just the lower level of the minor leagues where that changeup worked. He worked it pretty well all the way through the minor leagues.
Yep.
Those numbers he had this year were excellent. Strikeout per inning. Opponent's batting average below 200.
2.19 ERA and 3 different stops this year. Pulled on the ground. Beltre to second for 1. That's all they'll get. They'll just not hit sharply enough. And nice job by Odor at second to make sure of the force there. So 1 out, Marte at first. Before we go back to the top of the order, we're going to send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break. Thank you, Aaron. Boy, that's incredible.
Well, he's 3 behind Trumbo. He's second in the league in home runs.
There's your leaderboard. That is amazing.
Yeah, look at he's hit some home runs the last few years. He hit 18, 23. Last year he hit 28. And this year he's going to hit 40. Next year he'll hit 50, then 60. He's on a roll, man.
Yes, he
talk
is.
about doing that in anonymity in Minnesota.
When we were talking about it, and I know it was during the last homestand, maybe a week ago, he had 31 home runs because he was just ahead of Cano for second baseman. Now he's at 38, knocking on the door of 40.
Man.
Bizarra making the catch on that fly ball off the bat of Guillermo Heredia for out number 2.
And sooner or later, we're going to have to stop throwing him strikes. Streak he's in right now.
So Yoander Mendez, it's 2 outs. He still has Ketel Marte at first. Elvis Andrus in to provide some support for Yoander. Franklin Gutierrez, the hitter. Gutierrez 1 for 2, a walk, a solo home run, and a strikeout this afternoon. Rangers signed Mendez back in July of 2011. He turned 16. Inside corner for a strike. That was the breaking ball.
A young kid pitching in his big league debut. And some pretty good hitters. 12 pitches, 9 strikes.
Snap throw to first. This young man pitching in a manner that belies his tender age of 21. Got a pretty good idea of what he's doing out there. That changeup again.
So that is a baffling changeup.
Well, you watch, even from our cameras in center field, you watch the hand action and how the ball comes out of it, and you would swear it's fastball. Yeah,
just
exactly.
like a fastball.
Exactly. Wherever it was that he learned that, whoever he taught him that, did the best thing you could ever do for a young man.
He also can throw it where he wants to. He's kept that thing right down where you want to throw your changeup.
Mendez this year had 3 different stops. Began at High Desert, the California League High A team. Then went on to Frisco at Double A and finished off at Round Rock. Compiling that 12-3 mark and a 2.19 ERA total. 1-2 pitch. There's the fastball at 94. That's a pretty good complimentary pitch, if you want to call that complimentary.
Yeah, again, pretty impressive location, too.
All the makings of a quality professional pitcher, big league pitcher, which he is as of now.
You know, we asked Thad Levine the other night, not specifically this, but with all the activity at the trade deadline and all the players that were talked about, teams were looking at the Rangers' young players, and I'm sure that this was a kid that they asked about. Fortunately, the Rangers were able to hang on to him.
There goes Marte. The pitch is low. The throw is late. Marte, a pretty good read on Mendez and pitch in the dirt. So Jonathan Lucroy didn't have the greatest one to work with. Second Mariners stolen base of the day. Marte with his 11th of the year. Marte in scoring position. The count of 2 balls and 2 strikes to Franklin Gutierrez. Mendez to the plate. Slow topper that goes foul right at the bag at third. And we'll come back and try it one more time. Runners in scoring position. The Mariners for the year 9th in the American League with that 262 average, but having a good day today, 3 for 7. Yonder Mendez trying to make sure that average doesn't rise in this at bat to Gutierrez. Jonathan Lucroy and Yonder Mendez trying to get together on another 2-2 pitch. High and foul down the right side. A nice easy motion. I would think you hear a lot about a sneaky fastball. Looks like Mendez might have the kind of arm action that would create a little sneakiness. Base hit to left field. Gomez charging around third. Marte. The throw is not in time. Gutierrez with the RBI single. A 2-out base hit makes it an 8-5 Seattle lead. Gutierrez with his second RBI of the day.
Good at bat for Gutierrez. Finally got a good pitch to hit. That breaking ball stayed near the middle of the plate. And he fouled off a changeup, fastball, hung in there, and then got a good pitch to hit and hit it.
And Doug Brocail out to talk to Yoander Mendez and to Jonathan Lucroy. Got Robinson Cano coming to the plate. And we'll see if Yoander Mendez able to deal with the butterflies that no doubt he is having churn in his stomach right about now. With 2 outs this year, well, today, 5 2-out runs have been scored by the Mariners. 32% of their runs with 2 outs this year. Nothing in 1 to Cano, who's 2 for 3. Robinson Cano hit his 32nd home run in the first inning. Singleton scored in the second. Last time out, tapped out to first. Yoander Mendez with the 0-1 pitch. And Cano reaching, and Cano will be thrown out by his counterpart, Rougned Odor. But the Mariners come up with a 2-out run. They get a run on 2 hits and leave 1 after 5. 8-5 Seattle. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Barbara A. Renault from Terrell will win $900. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Barbara is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Rougned Odor to start things off here in the Rangers' 6th inning. Rangers now trailing by 3. It's 8-5 Seattle. It'll be Odor, Lucroy, and Moreland to face Felix Hernandez. Changeup comes back to the inside corner for strike 1. Odor 1 for 2, an RBI single in the 3rd. Now with an even 80 runs driven home. Odor already career highs in hits, home runs, doubles, and RBI. 1-1 the count. Next pitch for Felix Hernandez will be number 90 this afternoon. Had the 1 inning in the 3rd where he had 46 or 47 pitches. That ball is belted. There is number 30 for Rougned. Goodbye.
Yeah, and you saw where Cano hit it, and that one went past the one Cano hit by about 5 rows. Boy, he launched that one. And Hernandez is lucky it didn't happen in the third inning when he was throwing them all those pitches.
Well, Barbara A. Renault from Terrell, Texas, $900 richer, courtesy of Arugnet Odor and Sonic Restaurant.
That's a hanging off speed pitch right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, he didn't have to go out and pull that one. He had it right there for him, set up on a platter.
Well, Rugnet had 5 home runs and 14 RBIs in 5 games. Now it's 6 home runs and 16 RBIs in 6 games. Man.
Odor now 30 home runs, 81 RBI. And Jonathan Lucroy fouling off the pitch. He gets 1 ball and 1 strike. Rangers now with 184 home runs, and here's the inning by inning breakdown. You look at that and you say, wait a minute, did you guys miss some pitches before? That's nuts. 49 pitches in that third inning, better than half of the 92 that he's thrown. Right off the end of the bat, Dae-Ho Lee will take it to first. That is out number 1. That's in real speed, coming off the bat at 99 plus miles per hour. You know, Felix Hernandez this year now has allowed 15 home runs. One out, Mitch Moreland 0 for 2 steps in. That ball's ripped to right. It's hooking into the corner, but goes foul.
Mitch has ripped 2 balls just like that today. Unfortunately, they both went foul.
Yeah, Moreland's been known to put a charge on some balls in this ballpark, especially.
Yeah, both those home runs, the one that Odor hit and the one that Cano hit, weren't quite in the same league. The one that Mitch hit off Michael Pineda here a number of years ago. That was hit at night into a kind of a cold, damp air with the wind blowing in. He hit it more towards center field, just as far back.
And Nick Vincent, who had been up earlier, starting to loosen once again here in the 6th. 1-1. Now 1-2. Well, Mitch with 13 career home runs against Seattle. That's the second best totals in his career. He has more against Oakland. Last 37 ball games, though, 8 home runs against the Mariners and 21 RBI. That ball's hit well to left center field. Leonys Martin, though, has room as he gets back near the track. Stepping onto the cinders, making the catch for out number 2.
That's a tough part in the ballpark out there. Mitch is capable of hitting one out there. He didn't hit that his best. Gave it a pretty good ride, but you could tell Martin called for it early and knew it wasn't going to go to the wall.
Well, our forward leaderboard, Rangers and the Mariners right there in the top 4. They are numbers 3 and 4. Mariners number 3 with 186. Cano had 1 today, and Rangers at 185 team-wise. Baltimore and Toronto, the 2 in front of them. Omar Mazara had a 3-run blast in the Ranger 3rd. 1 ball, no strikes to Carlos Gomez. Now 2-0. Gomez drew a walk with 1 out in the 3rd, and that really was the catalyst to that 5-run outburst. Rangers at that time were trailing 7-0, but they got to Felix for 5 runs in that inning and made it very interesting. Cut it down to a 2-run game. Mariners added 1 in the bottom of the 5th. Rangers had come back here off the bat of Rugnet Odor to get that run back. So it's 8-6. And ball 4. Gomez draws his 2nd walk of the day. And Scott Servais, after surveying the landscape, decided to head on out to the mound. We'll see if he has the hook, and he does. He is calling for Nick Vincent to come in out of the Mariner bullpen. So Felix Hernandez finished after 5 2/3. He leaves leading 8-6. Rangers making noise though here in the 6th. We'll come back to Safeco right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Opposing starters have still not lasted 6 innings. In the last 9 ball games against the Rangers today, they knocked out one of the best prior to the end of 6 innings. Felix Hernandez in 5 2/3, 6 runs, all of them earned, a couple of home runs in the 6 hits, 4 walks and 3 strikeouts. So Felix has a chance to be the winner. Nick Vincent inherits a runner at first base. Vincent appearing in his 49th game of the year. Vincent acquired by the Mariners right at the end of spring training. Comes in with an opponent's batting average of .221 and a .375 ERA. He'll face Elvis Andrus with Carlos Gomez at first and 2 outs here in the 6th. Elvis walked and scored. That was back in the 3rd. Last time up, he struck out against Felix Hernandez. Nick Vincent, a slider specialist. Gomez at first already has a stolen base this afternoon. Carlos Gomez very intently studying Nick Vincent. And Elvis chops that first pitch foul for strike 1. Elvis 0 for 3 in previous at bats against the San Diego, or I should say the Seattle right-hander. Was San Diego. No longer toiling for the Padres. Oh and 1. Fly ball to right. Gutierrez has this one measured. Vincent comes on, gets the final out of the 6th inning. Rangers strand a runner. Rougned Odor's leadoff home run gets the Rangers on the board again. And after 5.5, it's the Mariners 8 and the Rangers 6. the regular season. First 15,000 fans to come out to the ballpark on Saturday, October 1st will get a Kobe Lewis bobblehead. That's courtesy of Kroger. Come on out, support your Rangers against the Rays. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Yoander Mendez out to the hill facing Nelly Cruz, leading off the 6th inning. Cruz 1 out of 3 this afternoon, looped a single down the right field line his last time up. Two balls and a strike. Mendez gave up a run in his initial major league outing last inning. Gave up a run on 2 hits. The RBI single with 2 outs to Franklin Gutierrez. Able to get Robinson Cano to end the threat. Now it's fallen behind 3-0 to Cruz. 3-1, excuse me. And Cruz rips it into left center field for a base hit. No, Cruz with a 2-hit game. Second straight leadoff single for him. 1 on, nobody out for Kyle Seager.
He's got a changeup toward the end of the bat a little bit, but he's so strong. Sometimes you can't even tell whether his line drives were hit off the end of the bat or not.
Now Seager steps in now, lefty against lefty. Seager has walked twice and lined to center. First pitch breaking ball, 1-0. Jonathan Lucroy back there, and he's had a few pitches in the dirt to block today. Seager 25 home runs, his 86 RBI, now tied with Robinson Cano for the most on the Mariner club. Two and 0. Mariners put their leadoff man on base 5 of 6 innings. At that rate, you'd be hard pressed to keep him off the scoreboard. To right field, that is trouble. Down in the corner, it is a fair ball and 1 hop out of the ballpark. So a ground rule double for Seager. That'll force Nelly Cruz to stop at third. But the Mariners now runners at second and third and nobody out here in the 6th inning.
Seager's been swinging a good bat. A little bit of a slow start this year for him, but over his last 26 games, he's really been swinging the bat well, hitting over 350. And he's a guy that really can't tell much difference whether he's facing a right-hander or a left-hander. He's hit 9 home runs this year against left-handed pitchers. Just keeps it fair inside the line.
Well, 13 hits this afternoon now for the Mariners. 2 aboard, nobody out. Here's Dae-Ho Lee, big first baseman, who checks his swing on a changeup. Lee 2 for 3, a pair of run-scoring singles. Rangers with nobody out, playing the infield back. And Cruz at third base, Seager at second. Mendez falling behind 2-0 to Lee. Rougned Odor had to say something to the young left-hander. Mendez and Odor a year apart age-wise, but Rougned had a little more experience at the big league level. Alvarez and Leclerc loosening in the Ranger bullpen. 2-0 pitch. 1 hopper to Odor. They're going to come to the plate. The tag on Cruz. He is safe. Now the throw was just a little bit to the first base side of home plate. Lucroy did all he could to make the catch and then reach back to tag Cruz. And from this vantage point, at least to my eyes, it looked like Cruz got in under the tag. And Jeff Bannister saying, hang on a second, we're going to have the video guys look at it.
It was worth the try, but it was going to take a perfect throw. Oh, I don't know.
Well, the question is, did his foot ever hit home plate?
Yeah, I don't know if it did or not. I got to see that one again. I
Dale
thought he was
Scott.
safe by a mile,
Well,
but
they're going to take a look at it. Yeah.
I don't know that he is.
The foot was there in time. The question is, did it touch home plate before the tag was applied?
Yeah, it was a chance play for Odor, who got the ball quickly playing back. Cruz is not a fast runner, so he made the attempt. And this is going to be interesting.
You know, Ford bringing in this Rangers challenge. Again, the call on the field by Dale Scott is safe at the plate. Replay command center viewing the various angles that they have access to. There'll have to be clear and convincing evidence to overturn this call.
And might have caught the corner of the base, the plate.
At least the angle we saw on the scoreboard appeared that way.
Yeah. The one on TV, on the TV monitor, looked like he might have missed home plate. The one on the scoreboard, it looked like he came right by the side of the plate.
Well, they will look at that very closely, which they're doing because of the amount of time it's taking. The replay command center back in New York, viewing all the angles. The official back there, a major league umpire, they kind of rotate through duty at the replay center. They're taking a close look at this, eyeballing up to, I think it's 18 angles that they have access to. Jeff Bannister. Here's Tim Bogart, the Mariners bench coach, on the left.
And the foot went by it. The hand came down. Very tough to tell whether the foot touched the plate or not. And as you said, Buzz, I think they're having a hard time in command center determining that same thing.
And you can understand why, I think. Now we're going to get the ruling now they've come out with, and he is safe at the plate. Well, after all that, I would imagine the call would stand. It does. Not confirmed. That means there wasn't sufficient video evidence to confirm the call, but there wasn't sufficient video evidence to overrule it. We'll take one more look. Here's the angle that we had. That foot just grazing probably the side of home plate, at least in the view of the replay official. So that makes it a 9-6. The Seattle lead now as the RBI for Dae-Ho Lee, his third of the afternoon on the fielder's choice. First and third, and Leonis Martin a wave and a miss. Martin, 2 strikeouts and a double this afternoon. 1 for 3, a .241 average. One ball and 1 strike. Middle of the Ranger infield, Andrus and Odor at halfway depth. I'm not going to call it double play depth. They're maybe a step closer to the plate. Kyle Seager down at third with fairly good speed. The bunt is on, and it's bunted foul. So the safety squeeze on for Leonis Martin. At least that's what it appeared to be. Seager got a pretty good break coming down the line from third once that ball was on the ground. So I've got to think he was alerted to the possibility of a bunt. Watch Seager, he's coming off. Well, as soon as that ball is bunted, he's gone. As soon as he was sure it wasn't popped up. Now 1-2. Nobody out. Runners at first and third. A run across here in the bottom of the 6th. Yoander Mendez trying to prevent any further damage. Dealing to Leonis Martin. Martin laying off the breaking ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mendez back to the plate. 3-2. Martin has run the count all the way out. He is hitting 7th in the order. He'll be followed by the catcher, Jesus Sucre. Payoff pitch on the way. Lost him. That will load him up for Sucre. And it's going to bring Jeff Bannister out of the Ranger dugout. So it looks to be the end of the afternoon for Yoander Mendez, making his major league debut this afternoon. He will work an inning plus and leave with the bases loaded, nobody out, turning it over to the Ranger bullpen. We'll come back to Safeco Field to tell you how all this turns out. We're back right after this. The Mariners making more noise. They have put a run across here in the 6th inning and take a 3-run lead. Loaded the bases against Yoander Mendez, and now Jose Leclerc has come out of the Ranger bullpen. The 22-year-old right-hander out of the Dominican Republic, and here it's quite a mess. He's appearing in his 5th ball game, 2nd since being recalled on September the 2nd. ERA of 1.35, and opponents hitting just 217 against him. The scheduled hitter, Jesus Sucre, the catcher, been called back, and Seth Smith has grabbed him out. He is going to pinch hit. So the left-hander Smith, who is one of the top pinch hitters for the Mariners.
How could you pinch hit for Jesus Sucre?
Yeah, that's what you get for going
3 for 3 with 2 RBIs in the game. Man,
you get no respect.
Tough game.
Seth Smith this year in pinch hitting assignments, 5 for 27. And see with the bases loaded, 5 for 9, and that's exactly the situation he is in now. Bases loaded, nobody out here in the 6th inning. Rangers play the infield all the way in with Smith at the plate. First pitch, it gets away from Lucroy. Down the line to score is Kyle Seager. It is a 10-6 Seattle lead on the wild pitch.
Boy, that ball was so far away from home plate. Didn't have a chance to block this ball. Couldn't get there. Umpire blocked it with his leg.
Yeah, calling that a wild pitch is pretty much a euphemism. So now they're going to go ahead and intentionally walk Seth Smith and deal with the number 9 man, Ketel Marte. Marte has been on one time on a fielder's choice ground ball. No, that will reload the bases. There are already 2 runs across in the inning. Both those runs charged the Yoander Mendez account. He's still responsible for Dae-Ho Lee and Leonis Martin at 3rd and 2nd. And now Seth Smith will join that duo. Well, here it comes Marte. 2 strikeouts, a fielder's choice grounder. 0 for 3 with a run scored and a stolen base. Mariners leading by 4 and on the verge of making this a blowout. Marte 5 for 10 this season with the bases full. Rangers continuing to play the infield all the way in. Peeled down to third base umpire Dan Iasoni. Said no swing. Marte, the switch hitter, flipping around to bat from the left side with a right-hander Leclerc on the mound. One-zero pitch. Jose trying to zero in on the strike zone. Reno hasn't really come close with a pitch that he's been trying to throw for a strike yet. Had the intentional walk after he threw the first pitch in the dirt. Now he's in danger of losing Marte and turning it back over to the top of the order. On the outside corner for a strike.
Well, that gets him a strike anyway. Maybe come back and get him right here. Got a little bit of help from the umpire. Liberal call.
The 3-1 pitch from Leclerc. 3-2.
There's a strike. And good arm, mid-90s fastball.
Yeah. Yep. The opportunity here to use that big arm, see if he can get a strikeout. The 3-2 coming to Marte. Call strike 3.
Sure did come back from a 3-0 count with the bases loaded through 3 straight strikes.
And Leclerc slamming that rosin bag down as to say, that's what I was supposed to do when I came in. No doubt about that one.
Wow, that ball is right in the middle of the plate.
So 1 big out. Now the Ranger infield goes back to double play depth. Yeah, the leadoff man, Guillermo Heredia, at the plate. 0 for 3 with a walk. 1 ball and no strikes. Heredia walked and scored to begin things this afternoon for the Mariners. Since then, he has struck out, popped out, and flied out. Base is full of Mariners here in the 6th inning. 2-0. Clark, a 6-foot right-hander, 190 pounds. The young man is listed as. 2-1. Signed with the Rangers in December of 2010. Had a couple of years in the Dominican Summer League team. 3-1. No, just like the fast hitter Ketel Marte, Guillermo Heredia has the advantage in the count. Ball 4. Took the walk. That one just a little bit low. That forces in a run. Dae-Ho Lee trots down the line, steps on home plate. It's an 11-6 Seattle lead. Already his second walk and first RBI of the afternoon. Dario Alvarez, Ranger southpaw. And I would imagine if Leclerc doesn't get a double play from Franklin Gutierrez, you will see Alvarez pitch to Robinson Cano. Gutierrez, a home run and a single. He's driven in a couple of runs. He's 2 for 3. Ball 1. Two career grand slams for Gutierrez. Popped up. Lucroy right in front of the Mariner dugout, reaching in, but can't quite reach it. Jonathan just running out of room on that top step. A ball and a strike now. Mariners with 3 runs across in the inning. They've had 3 walks granted them, one of them intentional. They had 2 hits, a single and a double. 1-1 to the number 2 hitter, Gutierrez. Breaking ball catches the inside corner. 1-2. Clark studying the signs, the right-hander. We'll check the runners. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Mendez threw a lot of pitches, close to 40 pitches. Clark's having the same problem. This will be his 20th pitch coming up.
Gutierrez chops that foul. Oh, John Radigan down there had a play on that and ducked it. He's right behind the camera down there.
John didn't have the air. He didn't have the hang time to get that one.
I don't think he brought his glove with him the way you advised.
No, he's hiding behind the camera, man. He's all right.
Still 2-2 to Franklin Gutierrez. Well hit to left center field. Gomez and Desmond. And that ball one-hops and goes into the bullpen. A ground rule double. 2 runs will score. Gutierrez, with 2 runs driven in, makes it a 13-6 Mariner lead.
They hit that in a perfect spot. Right between the outfielders and far enough to where neither one of them could get to the ball. It actually hits this ball a little bit off the end of toward the end of the bat, which is why it stayed in the ballpark. But Desmond is slightly in right center field, so he's got a long way to go. Can't quite get there. Same with Gomez.
No, a 2-run double, a 13-6 lead. And now with Cano at the plate, they're going to go ahead and intentionally walk Cano instead of bringing in the left-hander Alvarez to face him. Now this will reload the bases with 1 out and bring up Nelly Cruz. Let's kind of pick your poison here. You could have made the change and brought in a left-hander to face Cano. No sure thing that the left-hander is going to have a big advantage over Cano. Or you can do this, or you can get out of the inning with 1 pitch. Get a double play grounder off the bat of Nelly Cruz. Well, that'll reload the bases now. Cruz, who started this whole mess in the 6th inning by singling, will come to the plate, but not before Doug Brocail makes another visit to the mound. The Mariners with their second 5-run inning of the afternoon. At 5 in the 1st, 5 here in the 6th. Rangers had their own 5-run inning in the 3rd. Dale Scott, the home plate umpire, out there to hurry along the proceedings a bit. Jose Leclerc now will deal with Nelly Cruz, who is 2 for 4 this afternoon, a pair of singles. 9 career grand slams for the former Ranger slugger. Ball 1. Heredia down at third. Gutierrez has been replaced by Matt Gamble, the pinch runner, out at second. And Robinson Cano at first. There's Gamble. Gamble, no doubt, staying in the ball game to take over defensively for Gutierrez. One and two. Now Leclerc ready. Back to the plate he comes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch. Full count. Jose having some problems finding the strike zone. 30 pitches now. 10 strikes, 20 balls. Young right-hander trying to gather himself and get it back into the strike zone. The full count pitch. In the air to right field, down the line, Mazzara into foul territory, makes the catch, falls into the stands. Tagging at third is Heredia. He will score. On to third goes Gamble. The sacrifice fly makes it a 14-6 Seattle lead.
Nice job by Nomar. He I don't think was exactly sure where he was. He knew that the wall jutted out and that there was going to be some contact, and he kept going and made the play on that ball.
So Jeff Bannister out to take the ball from Jose Leclerc. One more shot at that nice catch by Mazzara.
He's actually lucky that ball wasn't 10 feet deeper, because I'm not sure he knew exactly where that wall was. Would have hit him about a little bit above the knees. Fortunately, he got to the indentation there and had a little bit more room and was able to make the catch.
So that'll bring in Dario Alvarez. We have a pitching change underway at Safeco. We are back right after this. Well, Dario Alvarez becomes the 5th pitcher used by the Rangers here this afternoon. He inherits Runners at the corners and 2 outs. Here in the 6th inning, the Mariners have scored 6 times in this frame, and Alvarez now appearing in his 22nd ball game of the year. He's 3-1, a 5.40 ERA with a 291 opponent's batting average. Alvarez came over with Lucas Harrell from the Atlanta Braves last couple of days of July in that trade to shore up the Rangers staff. So the left-hander now will face Kyle Seager. Seager has been on base 3 times this afternoon, 2 walks and a double. Got the pinch runner Gamble down at third and over at first. Robinson Cano. Strike 1. Seager had a double the first time that he hit in this inning, a ground rule double down the right field line. That was off Yoander Mendez. Nothing and 2. Tried to get him to offer that breaking ball, and Seager wouldn't do it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Alvarez out of the Dominican Republic. That trade consummated with the Braves and the Rangers on July 27th. Got him swinging. No, Alvarez gets the strikeout, and that puts an end to the 6th inning. But Mariners score 6 times, take a 14-6 lead after 6 at Safeco. Our 4th game summary this afternoon. In the 1st inning, he got off to a bad start for Cole Hamels and the Rangers. Robinson Cano, his 32nd home run of the year. That made it 2-0. And Franklin Gutierrez later in the 2nd inning, a solo blast off of the frustrated Cole Hamels. Rangers came back though. Omar Mazara lifted a Boeing bomber out to right center field. A 3-run blast that got the Rangers back in it temporarily, but since then, Mariners have really teed off. 6 runs in the 6th. That's opened up a 14-6 lead. The Rangers come to bat here in the 7th inning, the top of the order, to face Nick Vincent.
It's been pretty remarkable games back-to-back for both starting pitchers. Felix Hernandez, in his last start against the Rangers, went 4 innings, gave up 6 runs. Today he went 5 2/3 and gave up 6 more runs. So he ends up in these 2 games giving up 12 runs in his 2 starts against the Rangers, and is in line to get a win for this one. Cole Hamels in his last start against Seattle went 4 1/3 and gave up 6 runs. Today that's going to be an out to Cano. Today he went 1 2/3 and gave up 7 runs. So Cole gave up 13 runs in 2 games. Felix Hernandez 12 runs in 2 games, which is something you really couldn't expect to have happen with the 2 aces pitching.
Ben Gamel, the new right fielder for the Mariners, and Mike Zunino now behind the plate. Now, you could probably have gotten pretty long odds if you were a betting person and wanted to find a book on that. Ian Desmond up for his 4th time to the plate. 0 for 3 this afternoon. He was robbed last time. Great play by Kyle Seager at 3rd, taking extra bases away from Desmond. Thought he'd try it again, but pulled a foul. No balls, 2 strikes. Desmond with the 0 for 3 now, hitting at an even 290. Vincent came on to get the final out of the 6th inning, taking over from Felix Hernandez. And at that time, it was a 3-run game, or 2-run game, excuse me. And Desmond, a wave and a miss for the strikeout, 2 away. No first strikeout for Vincent. Now, Jurickson Profar has come off the Ranger bench. He's going to pinch hit for Carlos Beltran. So Jurickson Profar off the Ranger bench. 260 the average for Jurickson. 5 home runs, 18 driven in. Out of play for strike 1. Profar yesterday gave Elvis Andrus the day off, getting the start at shortstop in that final game at home against the Rangers against excuse me. Oh, and 2 to Profar. Fly ball to right. Gamel back to the warning track and makes the catch, and that'll do it. So 1-2-3 inning. Rangers gone, and we will take the stretch at Safeco Field in Seattle. 14-6. Mariners on top. Well, the Mariners leading the Rangers 14-6 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Dario Alvarez back out to the hill, and Progressive would like to show you the Rangers' upcoming schedule. This is the first of 10 games on this road trip. 4 here in Seattle, including today. Then it's on down the coast to Anaheim, take on the Angels for 3 over the weekend, and finish up the trip with 3 at Minute Maid Park against the Houston Astros Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Well, a lot of changes for the Rangers defensively. We'll catch you up with those as we go on through the inning. Dae-Ho Lee starting things off, and a swinging strike against Dario Alvarez for strike 1. Dae-Ho Lee, a big day. He is 2 for 3, has driven in 3 runs and scored a couple. Alvarez, who came on to finish off the 6th inning with a strikeout of Kyle Seager. And we'll start the catching you up on defensive changes. The catcher now, Brett Nicholas, who has come into the ball game to take over for Jonathan Lucroy. Ryan Rua now playing at first, in place of Mitch Moreland. At third, Hanser Alberto. Off the bench, seeing some action for the first time since his recall. Alvarez with the 1-2 pitch. Hit hard, but pulled foul by Lee. And in to take over in left field, Delino DeShields with Carlos Gomez moving from left on over to center. There's Carlos. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Got him swinging. A little bit of a mismatch on that breaking ball.
Well, one thing we heard about Dario Alvarez was that he was a strikeout pitcher, and his main strikeout pitch was a slider. And in these 2 at bats, we've seen that. Made Seager look bad with it. He's definitely made Dae-Ho Lee look bad with it.
I don't think he recognized that pitch very quickly.
I don't think I'd ever throw Dae-Ho Lee a fastball.
No, I think you're right.
I'd throw him a blooper ball before I threw him a fastball.
Even if you didn't throw it, you'd throw it, right?
Yep.
Even if that wasn't part of your repertoire.
Say, here it is, and just lob it into him.
Well, Leonis Martin has doubled and walked. He has scored twice today. Pulls that well foul into the upper deck off the first base side. 0-2. Martin doubled and scored in the first inning. That was a 5-run outburst against Cole Hamels. And then in the 6th inning, in that 6-run 6th, Martin drew a walk and came around to score. And he has gone on strikes here, striking out for the 3rd time today.
Got that slider working.
Now, before Mike Zunino comes up, we're going to send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Chevy game break.
I thought Aaron was going to tell us that Brian Dozier hit his 4th home run today. Guess that game's over. He'd have a hard time doing that.
Well, he might have gone out and found a pickup game somewhere and hit it. Mike Zunino taking over behind the plate, getting his first at bat of the afternoon, a .223 average. 1 ball and 1 strike. You know, the wild card race in the American League, it's pretty tight. Boston a game and a half over Baltimore at the moment. Half a game back of the Orioles for that 2nd spot, Detroit Tigers. Houston 2.5 back. Well, that is by no means settled or anywhere near being settled. 1-2 to Zunino. Dario Alvarez has struck out all 3 hitters that he has faced since coming on last inning. Bounces that one in to even the count. Zunino really struggling in his last 10 ball games. He's 3 for 32. That pitch came in, looked like it hit him from our vantage point.
I thought it did hit him.
Zunino refusing to go to first base. No, I'm not going anyplace.
Well, it hit the glove and stopped. I thought it hit him.
That hit too. Popped right at him. Brett Nicholas' glove. Now the 3-2 pitch to him. Lost him. Oh, a 2-out walk as Zunino aboard. And Ketel Marte will come to bat again. That is the 9th walk issued by Ranger pitching this afternoon. And 9 walks and 11 strikeouts. Marte has 3 of those strikeouts. He is 0 for 4. Nothing in 1. Only time Marte reached this afternoon was in the 5th inning. Reached on a fielder's choice ground out. Stole second, came around to score on a 2-out Franklin Gutierrez base hit. Nothing in 2. Dario Alvarez, a 27-year-old left-hander out of Santiago in the Dominican Republic. Now the left-hander gets the sign from Brett Nicholas. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You see the pitch total for the Ranger pitchers this afternoon. It's going to be astronomical. It has been a rugged afternoon.
I think Yoander and Jose threw somewhere around 70 pitches and didn't add up to 2 innings.
Ripped foul by Marte.
That was catchable down there. A lot of gloves. Not much contact with the ball, though. Got one of those 6-fingered gloves.
Pat Venditti special.
Yeah, I always wanted one of those, but then when I finally saw one, I'm glad I never had one. Ugliest glove you could ever get.
Next pitch from Alvarez. And another foul ball.
Do you remember the first glove you ever had?
I do. It was a well, the first one that actually was bought for me.
That
it
wasn't a hand-me-down.
Yeah, it was a Vern Law glove.
Vern Law.
Yeah,
huh.
Vern Law. It was a Rawlings glove. Got him swinging.
I'm going to tell you what mine was.
All right.
After this.
Okay. 1 left aboard. We're going to the 8th. 14-6, Seattle. live with MLB.com at Bat app. You stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and a whole lot more. Download MLB.com at Bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. And they're downloading it right now as we speak, right here at Safeco Field. Evan Scribner on now to work for the Mariners here in the 8th inning. Scribner Friday against the Angels, working 1 inning. Scribner, as you remember, last saw with the Oakland A's last year. Come over here to Seattle. He's had some injury problems. Originally put on the disabled list at the start of the year. Had a lat muscle pull, and then he got transferred to the 60-day disabled list and spent the majority of the season on that list. He's coming back off now, trying to work his way back into the tail end of this Mariner bullpen. Hanser Alberto leading things off in the 8th inning. Alberto this year, 25 games with the Rangers, hit .175 with 4 RBI. And very quickly, Scribner out in front, 0-2. Little chopper at the plate. Stays a ball and 2 strikes. Alberto, part of the call-up the 2nd of September. Rangers coming up from AAA. Scribner back to it. Just missed the outside corner. Big slow breaking ball from Scribner, and Alberto strikes out to begin the Ranger 8th inning. Oh, 1 gone. And Rudin Odor will come up. Odor, another big day. 2 for 3. Couple of runs driven in. It is 30th home run of the year last time up. And a bomb off Felix Hernandez in the 6th inning. And our AT&T high-speed internet will take you back to that blast. Felix Hernandez in his last inning of work. And he got an off-speed pitch that Rudin has been feasting on of late. And way back into the right field seats. There's a shot off Scribner. Scribner had no idea where it went. And Odor is going to have his 3rd hit of the afternoon.
Yeah, that was another breaking ball. When they throw the breaking ball down, they obviously have a better chance. But boy, when you're hanging one to him right now, you're risking giving up a long ball. That was a hanging breaking ball out over the plate, and he smashed it right off Scribner. Couldn't quite get turned around to catch that ball. Rudin came into the game hitting .280. He has 3 hits today. So his average jump up a little bit.
Well, here's Brett Nicholas with his first at bat since being recalled.
Yeah, Brett did a nice job while he was called up here. And he had a nice season down in AAA too.
Sure did. 0-2. Nicholas, first time up, and hits in 8 of the 10 games that he started for the Rangers. Couple of home runs, 4 RBI. 5-game hitting streak if you go back to his last stint with the Rangers. 1-2. Nicholas this year at AAA Round Rock hit .288, 13 home runs. One of the things the Rangers really liked about him, aside from his catching ability and the ability to swing the bat, they used him as a pinch hitter several times coming off that bench. And He provides the good bat, the power bat they were looking at coming off the bench. Scribner with another 1-2. Pop foul back and out of play. Now Scribner's next pitch. Breaking ball and hitting. Went to the Mitch Moreland school of taking those things. You know, Brett Nicholas hit by a pitch. He's awarded first base, and the Rangers have 2 on and 1 out. And Ryan Rua coming up.
Got the front foot. So your first glove was a Vernon Law model?
Vernon Law model, yep.
My first glove was a first baseman's mitt. We didn't have no one had a glove. My sister, obviously, she didn't have a glove, although she played baseball. The first glove was a first baseman's mitt that my father got with, do you remember S&H green stamps?
I do, yeah.
You go to a store and buy something, they give you green stamps,
sure.
And then you redeem them. Well, he redeemed our stamps for this first baseman's mitt. And it was a good glove, except the webbing really wasn't tied together that well, and if the ball came fast enough, it went right through the web. So you had to concentrate on catching it in the pocket of the glove, and not up in the webbing. But that glove served a great purpose for a while.
Didn't want to make.
Until I actually learned how to play and needed a glove.
Yeah, first baseman's glove kind of limits what you can do with it, I guess. But
yeah, especially when it goes through the webbing. If you catch it too far up in the glove near the end of it. Younger people don't have the slightest idea what S&H green stamps were.
I can remember spending endless hours putting those in the books.
Yeah.
Rua caught looking at a called third strike, so there are 2 gone. And Carlos Gomez coming up. No, Scribner, both outs he's recorded in this inning have been via the strikeout. Gomez has walked twice today. He is 0 for 1 officially. Scored a run, had a stolen base. Little check swing, foul off to the right. 0-1. Gomez still trying to extend his hitting streak, and currently is at 5. Rips that one just foul outside the bag at third. And Sonia right on that line.
He was right on it. He was signaling foul second it got there.
Got to have good reactions here.
Yeah, good concentration too. You know, the game's a long game. They've been standing out there. They don't get to sit down in the dugout. I guess someone brings them a drink of water every now and then all of a sudden a smash comes 1 inch or 2 inches one way or the other, and you've got to make an immediate call. But that's what they're trained for, that kind of concentration.
Yeah, Carlos Gomez caught looking at strike 3, and Scribner ends up striking out the side. 2 left for the Rangers. 7.5 in the books. It's the Mariners by 8.
Welcome you back to Safeco Field. Lovely afternoon for baseball, and now a long, officially, afternoon for baseball. It's game one of a 4-game set, and game 2 is tomorrow, and you see it is a night game. In fact, the next 3 in a row will be night games. You see 2 of the power hitters in that game tomorrow, including Nelson Cruz and Adrian Beltre. AT&T high-speed internet reminds us tomorrow's coverage starts at 8:30 with Rangers Live. First pitch coming your way sometime a little after 9, guys.
All right, John, thanks very much. Well, first ball swinging in this 8th inning. Guillermo Heredia taps out to the new second baseman, Jurickson Profar. So Rangers now will not have a DH, as Profar had come on to take the place of Carlos Beltran, the DH. Profar pinch hit for him in the 7th and has now taken over at second base for Rougned Odor. So Profar in the lineup, and Alvarez, the pitcher, will hit in the number 5 slot, previously occupied by Rougned Odor. Ben Gamel, who came on as a pinch runner in the 6th inning, getting his first at bat, hitting just 111. Came over from the Yankees to the Mariners. 2 balls and no strikes. Dario Alvarez back to the plate. 2-1. Gamel, as you look at Altavilla in the Mariner bullpen, Gamel made his major league debut with the Yankees back in May of this year. Played in 6 games for New York. Just acquired on the last day of August by the Mariners from the Yankees. 3-1. Check swing foul, and the count is full. This little guy got about 6 different pieces of people.
That hit the knob, I think.
Looked like it. Now the 3-2 pitch. Try it again. The Mariners 14 runs on 14 hits plus 9 walks today. Rangers 6 runs on 7 hits.
The Rangers are going to end up well over 200 pitches today.
Breaking ball called strike 3. Well, Alvarez now has struck out 5 men. He has recorded all outs by strikeout.
And that's the pitch that's been doing it too, is a slider.
That's one where Gamel had no chance to pull the trigger on that.
No, that's a hard one. It breaks a lot, starts out right at your body and just comes in and catches the inside corner.
Cano takes strike 1. Robinson 2 for 4 with a home run and a single. Also intentionally walked today. 1-1. That's out of play. Robinson Cano, a 3.05 average. He is having the kind of year that the Mariners had hoped he would have every year when he signed that 10-year contract with them. Now got a 9-game hitting streak active, and he has been pretty consistent this year from day one. Got him swinging. Strikeout from Alvarez, and that sends the Mariners down. We are going to the 9th inning here at Safeco. Mariners 14, Rangers 6. Ninth inning, and Dan Altavilla has come on in to take over on the hill for the Mariners. Altavilla becomes the fourth pitcher employed this afternoon by Scott Service. Altavilla appearing in his sixth ball game. We saw him one ball game down in Arlington. ERA of 3 and the opposition hitting .417 against him. Elvis Andrus starting things off. Elvis faced Altavilla in the ball game down in Arlington, went 0 for 1 against him. Power fastball at 95, and it is 1-0. Elvis 0 for 2 this afternoon, a walk and a run scored, a strikeout and a flyout. 2-0. Altavilla called up from Double-A Jackson on August 27th. Hit hard into the hole, diving stop by Marte. What a play by the Mariners shortstop.
That's being robbed of a base hit for sure. Elvis hit that ball hard. A beautiful play by Marte. Hit hard, so he didn't have a lot of time to get to it. Gets it with a dive, gets up quickly, and you see his over-the-top strong throw back to first base. Well, after 3.5 hours, that's the last thing you want as a hitter.
Exactly.
Go into your last at bat 0 for 2. Feel like you salvaged the day with a 1 for 3, and have a guy pick it and make a play like that on you.
Yeah, Nomar Mazara with his 5th at bat takes ball 1. Mazara had that 3-run bomb in the 3rd inning, his 17th of the year. That was driven in 57. Sharply hit, but right to Marte, the second base position for the shortstop. There are 2 gone. Marte handling both balls in this inning. And now Delino DeShields will get his first at bat. Delino at .229 with 4 home runs and 11 driven in. The left-hander starting tomorrow. You might look to see Delino DeShields in the starting lineup, probably leading off. It's what Jeff Bannister has done against left-handers in the last week or so.
This guy's in deep trouble, boy.
Yeah.
That guy couldn't wait. I'm sorry we can't show this. That guy looked like a college football player that took that guy down.
He might have been.
He couldn't wait to make that hit.
Yeah, a little action here on Labor Day, and that guy's going to spend Labor Day night and
have fun.
Probably most of the next week.
Pay a $2,000 fine, spend the night in jail, work off a hangover, and then go home to your parents and see how proud they are of you.
Probably go to the chiropractor first after that tackle.
He might go to the hospital. He's lucky that was the grass he went down on. I don't think he thinks it's such a good idea now.
Probably not. No, probably not. Meantime, Dan Altavilla out there trying to figure out how to get one more out with no further ado. And they've just got about gotten the field cleaned up.
That kid's not smiling now, boy. He had his arms over his head laughing as he ran, and he is shaking his head in pain right now.
All right, they've closed up the outfield wall now, and it's time to get back to work. Altavilla facing Delino DeShields. Two outs, bases empty. 1 ball and no strikes. Mentioned the matchup tomorrow. James Paxton, the left-hander for the Mariners, be opposed by the Rangers southpaw Martin Perez. 1-1. Altavilla back to the plate. And that will do it. Lionel Shields caught looking at strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Altavilla. And the Mariners snap a 5-game losing streak to the Rangers. A 14-6 win here on Labor Day at Safeco Field in Seattle. And we'll be back to Safeco with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.